Okay, good morning, Baruch Hashem. We're standing in the wonderful days of Slichus. We're so close. General Elul, we're close because the Melech is Besada, but today we're Mamish, we're ready in the Slichus. 3 Sheilos for today. The first Sheilo, usually how do we set a person's name? How do we convey when it comes to writing a tzuva, mainly when it comes to writing a get? One of the big things is Brono Shulchan and Yeridea, and Eben Hezer, is what's the name the person uses when he's over the Torah, when a person gets an Aliya. So there was once a get, the proceedings of a get, so they were asking the person the name. Like every get, it's before that's a big part of the get. I mean, the biggest part is to make sure that all the names are straight. If you got the names wrong, the get is a big puzzle, it's not a get before. So they asked the man, what name do you use when you get an Aliya? Answer, whatever, from Yitzchak. And they asked him for all the documents, passport, all the secular names. Asked the woman, please give your passport. She says, hey, why are you asking him what name he gets when he gets an Aliya? Why don't you ask me what name I get an Aliya? He never goes to shul. I go to shul every Shabbos and I get Aliyahs all the time. He's going to reform shul. Bezin. She said she had name of the pants for the Chavis is Nancy. But she's a Torah with the name Shoshana. Otherwise she doesn't use it. But she goes to shul. Shabbos, she's Yoel Torah. That's called Mufchem Hashem. It's the name that you're Yoel Torah.
Maybe you're the Torah.
Oh, so the question was asked. What's the din? So then they asked Rabbi because the interesting thing is that the emes technically a woman it's not so terrible for a woman to get an Aliya. Look in the first paragraph here. The Mishnah says in Megillah, the emes she would be technically allowed to be over the Torah. Chum said they don't want the isha.
There has to be a million of women.
That's a different.
Oh, I mean a man.
No, the women have also their own meaning. Just a million of women.
I never heard of that. Never heard of that.
They said
There's different zimun they could do maybe. Let's not call a Torah kula at once. The Mishnah, the Bryce here doesn't talk about doesn't go into the details. It's not so relevant because anyway we don't do it. Because of Kabbalah Tzibur, I would assume that it means that there's 10 men, and they call her up. A woman doesn't count like a half a man or a man and a half. A woman is a woman and a man is a man.
But he said not Torah. For him it said no Aliya Torah.
In those days, that the person that was Oila was also Koida. In the time of the Shas. This time, right? Exactly. They still do that. Exactly. That's what the Shulchan Aruch Paskins and Simon Reish Pei Beis give me. So, l'chayda, it's not that bad that the Shulchan Aruch said that as Simon B'Chum Test that we convey the shame based on the Torah. They asked Rav Kanievsky. Kanievsky said there's a Tosfos that says that they asked the Benutam, a person his name was Feivel. He was Shmatzich. What name did he take? It's not clear in Tosfos if he took a Stam, if his name was Christopher or Johnny. But the Tosfos says they asked the Rabbeinu Tam in the get, should they write his old name Feivish or should they write the Goyish name? It's like that.
you can't put both Feivish or.
It is, you can do it both. But that was the Tosfos. The Tosfos doesn't say exactly what the question was to use both of them. So the question was to use the Goyish name. And the Rabbeinu Tam says, Chalilu lahasker shem shal oivik kechavam b'toiris Moshe. That's a Tosfos in Gitnach Lamed Chesed Amud Beis. I'm quoting it right over here. Chalilu lahasker shem shal oivik kechavam b'toiris Moshe. It's like in this week's Parsha. It says, "Pen yesh b'chem shoydish poyder reish v'lana." I mean, this is like a chutzpah. guy who went and converted away from Judaism, he took himself a goyish name. Now this name you're going to use in a get, this is not counted. It doesn't exist. So as Rav Kanievsky said, Rav Chaim Kanievsky said that the same thing will apply over here. Even if technically you say a woman is allowed to wear a little Torah, but here this is a basic knesset that was built to spit in the face of Torah Moshe Rabbeinu. They don't believe in Torah Shabbat and Torah Shabbat, and it's a mockery. It's to make this whole. It's not an Aliya, like you said. It's a Yerida. It's not being oil of
she's a Baal Shuvah, but she has that name. I thought the whole purpose of the get.
Said she's a Baal Shuvah.
No, let's say a different person. I thought the purpose of making sure that by a get that you have the name exactly is to make sure that it's not someone else.
No, that's a separate thing. You know, there's a Gemara about Shnei Yosef and Shimon. That's a different thing. The bottom line is, even if that was true, but the bottom line is, a get has to be written with the correct names. If the names are not correct, the get is not a get. It's not a get. An interesting Sheilos that happened, I was beside the Kiddushin. And so there was a second marriage for the couple. So I asked them, I'd like to see the Ma'aseh Bezdin from the previous get. So obviously, you can't be beside the Kiddushin, you know, if they went through a divorce, you have to see the get. No Bezdin gives a get. When there's a get of Bezdin, no Bezdin wants to ever have any problems on a get. They take the get, they make it next, they rip it, put it in the file, with a good lock and key that no one's ever going to touch it. But they write a Ma'aseh Bezdin document saying the woman got divorced. So the name of the woman was Nancy, the get. I said, didn't you once tell me a story that when you became a Baal Shuvah, you went to the Rebbe and the Rebbe gave you the name Esther?
Change it.
Yeah? She said, yeah. So I said, why does it say here, the Rebbe wrote the Ma'aseh get? Sometimes you're just going to write it, but why? So she said, I don't know, that's what the rabbi wrote. Okay. Called the rabbi. And there is a tshuva, the Divrei Chaim, and also there's a Talmud who wrote a sefer on Gittin. Chaim was a big poisek. It's a Rebbe, but long in the Welt is a moedidige poisek, because he was had some moedidige sharp mind. A lot of the Halberstamms today are Einiklach of the...
That's Reb Chaim's son?
Yeah, Reb Chaim Zanzer.
Yeah.
Reb Chaim Zanzer. So he has an interesting tshuva, and he has one of his big Talmidim who wrote a sefer. Also, he has a tshuva that if a person writes, is a chosid, and he writes a kvittel to his Rebbe, so the main name is the kvittel. Obviously, we're not talking about the Kliyah Torahs, but we're talking about if there's many things that go into the mix. But put aside the Kliyah Shem Shel Kliyah Torah, if there's a suffix, so the Divrei Chaim says you should look at what name is he using to write a kvittel to his Rebbe, if he's a chosid. Because obviously, when he goes to write a kvittel to his Rebbe, this is like, you know, the neshama getaros. It's like, you know, so obviously that's his real name. So this woman was a Baal Shuvah, went to Rebbe, Rebbe gave her a name, and she used to daven here. So people called her about her Jewish name. So anyone that says it's a Yosef Mekaveh Bekutka, it's not a Shagol call, that's her name. And her passport says Nancy. No one even knows in the shul that her name is Nancy. I'm saying Nancy because I wouldn't say her real name anyway.
It's one of her names. It's one of her.
Right. The thing is that you have to write all the names.
All of them.
It is that if you wrote their nickname,
if you have to write all the names, then I would think that even if it's Christopher, you put Christopher, and Abram gets stuck, and Baruch, you put all the names. So
sometimes you can have 3 lines of
Tosfos
names.
seems to go
But
with what we're saying with Tosfos and Kanievsky, you don't put all the names because some of the names are lacking.
That's like a person did it because he wanted to convert to Christianity, not because of I was so many times in Williamsburg. You see people come in with Shemaim Yehudim and the wife and cook this Mama Shekarebetz and Sadekis, and all of a sudden when it comes to the names, you wouldn't know. The names, her name is Stephanie, and his name is, Mamish, Mamish, Shemus Muvhokim Shalgoyim. You have to close your eyes for a moment when you hear the names. That's all Hungarians are that way. They go to work, they have Shemus Goyim Muvhokim. Unbelievable.
They had to have Catholic names to register for school.
So it's still a cultural thing with them.
Yeah.
They go to they have
Brian Fisher.
They have Mamish. It's funny.
Magda, Tico, Agnes, Aki.
Yeah, they have Mamish Shemus Muvhokim Shalgoyim. It's funny. But this I called up the Rav. Anyway, he didn't want to listen. He didn't want to listen.
He didn't want to listen?
No.
Why not?
But he didn't want to listen because it's it's very painful to hear that you made a get that not everyone But I called a few. I called a few from the biggest Masada Gittin in the world. And I said, look, but the evidence, if you write a get, it has the name. It's a nickname. The Mishnah says Pasuk Chanichosev and Chanichosek Sheda. It's kosher. So but the evidence get it's kosher. So I didn't say anything. But just an interesting thing that the Rechaim holds that the name that you write in the Kvittel, we're talking the week before Rosh Hashanah, the Mini Chassidim is Erev Rosh Hashanah, to write the Pidyon Nefesh, and those that are far from the Rebbe visualize the face of the Rebbe. They send it to the Tzion HaKodesh to be placed there at Rosh Hashanah. And all the years the Rebbe, when he went to the Tzion, to the oil, his father-in-law, usually no one went. Like void, the Rebbe's father. The Rebbe was busy in his avodas hakodesh and saying Tehillim. That was the fact. No one went when the Rebbe was there. I don't know. They probably even locked the door. And if the door was not locked, no one walked in when the Rebbe was there. There was one yotzim in a klal, and that was Erev Rosh Hashanah. Erev Rosh Hashanah, the Rebbe was there, and it was always a pleasure to go because the Rebbe used to stand there with his. You never saw the Rebbe with his 5 reading glasses, but when he used to sit there with the reading glasses, he used to stand. Reading glasses. It was just interesting how the Rebbe was like, sometimes on paper he used to stand for a long time, and then sometimes he used to take a big part like quickly. The Rebbe had bags and bags full of Pidyonis, and the Rebbe used to read it. Once Erev Rosh Hashanah, he would rip it up, always rip it up and put it in. Erev Rosh Hashanah, because of the chashivas of going to Kivrei Tzadikim, so the Rebbe was there, and the whole oil of people would come in and out, and the Rebbe was there for a very long time.
This is the reason in the old paper.
The Rebbe used to do that, yeah.
So this is the reason we do.
Yeah.
It's been done for a long time.
Yeah.
לקרוא
Okay.
לקרוא ולקרוא. גם קורא וגם קורא. גם קורא וגם קורא.
Someone asked the Sheilos this week. Person was noyeg a good minig, a very nice minig, chassidish minig for many years. Chassidish minig, very good minig, and it's getting a little difficult for the person. And he's wondering, is that machlal neder? That good anhaga the person is doing, is it machlal neder? And if it is a neder, is he allowed to stop? Should he make hatoras nidorim? What's the din? So it's a shgocha brotis. Not only it's a shaykhis to the Parsha, the overcha b'brisa v'olosei, but we're talking about this is the Erev Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara says that a person that has nidorim should stand up on Rosh Hashanah with mater. The Forshim say it doesn't mean on Rosh Hashanah. It's Erev Rosh Hashanah. The Alter Rebbe and the Siddur, most nidorim machzorim have it published in the Marsov, the first page of the Marsov, that koydem when the Alter Rebbe writes koydem chatzos hayom toiv she'yeh the shleimah should make hatoras nidorim. So before we talk about this, let's just read inside. The Lashon Shulchan Aruch talks about hatoras nidorim for minhagim, or mitzvahs, or achlotas that you do, and then what the Alter Rebbe writes, and then a Sheilos from the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch and the Rebbe's Nusach, and the Rebbe has a Zayda who wrote a Sefer Shara Koilo who answers the Sheilah, and with this we'll answer the Sheilah of this individual. Reish Shulchan Aruch, Yored Desim and Reishu Daled, Sifal. The Shulchan Aruch says like this: Varam Mutarim Vayeduim Vahem Mutarim. It's known that it's mutter. People know it's mutter. And it's but no gumamis have a kilo and neder also latiram lahem. People anyway know they know it's also. Didn't make a mistake. It's not the shot they bought. It's also this is a terrible picture and I can't eat it. Oh, we found out it's a reliable after. I don't know. They know that this is, but they decided that they're not doing it. So now it's as if they're on the kabel neder. Also latir alam ilkach misha rogo. The sanas tanish lefnei Rosh Hashanah. Shemei Rosh Hashanah. There's certain fast before Rosh Hashanah. Some have a minute the first day of Slichas to fast. Or ben Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. They fast every day. They don't eat meat from the Sheilos because Abidin, it's really the and that's really the tzvah of do. Like Yochanan says, only they don't eat meat wheat shechol b'tishba. And this person has a minute that he doesn't eat from the Sheilos. Oi, shivas b'tamas, but it's a lot of machmas shein body. Now, the doctor says it's good for him to eat meat. But he has his own minute that he doesn't eat meat all the 9 days, all the 3 weeks. What should he do? He needs to be people that will be mater, because it's as if a neder. Because he was noyek to do this for a long time, it's as if it's a neder. If when he started to do this hanhagen, these are crucial words, we'll get to this. So B'shas, he started this good hanhagen. He had in mind he's going to do this forever, and he did so one time. Tzarich hatoras v'tzarich hatoras. He needs to have hatoras. If one time, the first day of Slichas, this is a really good minhag. I just learned about this minhag. The first day of Slichas, and fasting. Today's the first day of Slichas. Let me fast. And he fasted one day, and he didn't say b'nei neder. He said forget. He said I'm going to do it my whole life. Next year he realized, come to Kol Yom Rishon, everyone's going to learn. There's going to be delicious eggs over here. From anyway, it's a long day. I want to learn and daven. I'm not going to be able to. You know what? Better I'll eat a little bit and I'll learn and daven. But what do you do now? You have to have a hatoras and nidorim. And how do you do it? Yiftach b'charot. Shemescharet shenod ke'egein l'shem neder. There's 2 things in the nidorim. There's sort of charot and a pesach. Charot means a person says, I have charot. I have to begin with. This was a big mistake. I can't believe I went into this. Or another is that there's a Pesach. Had I known that my son-in-law, Rabbi Akiva, instead of a shepherd and an ignoramus, is going to go learn Torah. If I had known that, that's not a charota. That's a Pesach, because things change. Okay, so he should start the charota, and he should say that he was mischaret, that he took this as a neder. He should have just done a beli neder. Yomer, the person that wants to do something, a special siyog l'Torah, a special precious, should say, "B'tchilas and agos she'enu makabel came beneder." It's not makabel. This is a neder. V'gam yomer she'bedayt l'nikin alapamahu oy b'pam she'yirtza v'loy l'oylam. He should say that I'm only doing it today or whenever I want, but not forever. The person thinks that this is also. That's not called a neder. He thinks it's also. He went to Rabbi, found out it's mutter. Yesh mishayim mishimto. You have no igis of the mutter. Nish lo matim v'shlesh k'tan hatoras ador. V'im yodei shu mutter. Is ematir aloi. There's an adei that says no. If you know that it's mutter and you know igis, there wouldn't even be matir. If you look ein hatoras ador, that people lots of yisur shisuros hatoras shelayat aloylum. Aminik isur rishayna. That if he knows it's mutter, it's no igis, that you could make hatoras nidorim. Okay. Let's look at the next paragraph. I said that Alter Rebbe writes hatoras nidorim erev Rosh Hashanah, like the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah. He says kodem chatzos hayom, v'tov she'ed l'shlem. It's better to have 10 people, and that's the nusach. Shimon or Rabbi said he has a long nusach Alter Rebbe, right? 3 is what we quote, but it's better to have 10. Alter Rebbe says erev Rosh Hashanah, and he says Shimon or Rabbi said they own mumchim. He says, if there's anything, Gomarti believe last is a mitzvah, is an oget toiva, shenahakti shaloisha be'amen b'leisneisi shivleyad. There's a little typo here because I'm typing it, so I made a mistake. Shenahakti shaloisha b'leisneisi shivleyad. If I did 3 times, I didn't say b'lineder. So I'm asking that they should undo this vow. So the Kiddush Shulchan Aruch asks, why Gimel Pa'amim? The Alter Rebbe writes Gimel Pa'amim. Shulchan Aruch says even 1 time. So the Rebbe's grandfather writes in the Sharakolos, and the answer is very simple. Shulchan says, Fedish, that a person was Bishosh, Yitzchak Lina, Goy Daita, Lina Kain Li Oilam. He had in mind, I'm doing this thing forever. So therefore, even if it was like one time, if you say it in your mouth, you don't have to be annoyed. We're talking about the person who didn't say it. So, what if you think, whatever you think was meaning. But he was noyig. So the fact that he thought that he's going to do it forever, and once he did it, it becomes like a neder. But if he didn't think anything, he just did it. It was a nice thing. This is a nice thing. Stuck every morning for davening, go to the mikveh every morning for davening, go to the mikveh once a week. Whatever, it's a nice and hagah toiva. He decided to do it, and he did it. So if he did it consistently, and it's 3 times, we say, but now it's as if he had in mind that he's going to do it forever. Like everything in the Torah, that there's a concept of chazaka, just like a shar mu'id, that if he gores once, twice, 3 times, he says, there's a chazaka, he gores. So the same thing here, the Rebbe holds that if a person doesn't say in his mind, I'm going to do it forever, but he does it once, twice, 3 times, a consistent basis, not sporadic, consistent basis, so then it becomes as if it's a neder.
Rabbi, you know that Sfaradi make 3 times after that?
When 3 times?
The beginning of, I think it was Chodesh Elul, and it was Rosh Hashanah, and one before that, I don't remember. Motzei Shabbat, one time before Shabbat. Maybe this Motzei Shabbat, I don't know.
Interesting.
Is this only for a mitzvah? Or
Now we're dealing with a mitzvah. Now we're dealing
can
with
it
a
be
mitzvah.
also like for, say, not a mitzvah purpose? Like, let's say a person has coffee in the morning, and he has it every day. So, that doesn't become like that?
It's never had in mind. It's a habit, yeah. It's not
So it's only basically for something which is a mitzvah.
right. A mitzvah, we say the importance of a mitzvah is when a person does it consistently 3 times. The stama, he wants to do it for the rest of his life, unless he says otherwise. Drinking coffee is not a mitzvah.
Right.
But on Bukhar,
If he's drinking coffee while he's learning Likutei Torah, and he does that consistently, so then, now you're asking a good question. Like the Gemara says, a person says, Nashkim, whatever, Nilmat Pedek, that's neder. A person says, we're going to wake up early, we're going to learn, that's like a neder. Now, if a person doesn't say it, he does it once, he says, I'm going to do it every day. And it's funny because it ends up that what we're learning now also is a Sheilos to Rosh Hashanah. Besides this, hatoras and nidorim is, Gemara says to do Erev Rosh Hashanah for the nidorim that you don't know. But also, the Rebbe writes that the Chabad Rebbe's had a minute that every Rosh Hashanah they were makabel an extra hidur. Every Rosh Hashanah they were makabel special hidur for the rest of their life to do. So when you're makabel a hidur, you're supposed to say that you're makabel a doing neder. Otherwise, it turns into a neder. And then, if you don't remember it, so that for that we have a blanket thing of Erev Rosh Hashanah. If you do know specifically a certain thing, then you have to go to 3 people, and you have to make hatoras nidorim.
However, what if you intend to do something and something happens to you that's totally out of your control? For example, a couple of years ago, I got pneumonia. Before the pneumonia, I planned to fast over Shabbat. But if I would have fasted, it would have
That's different. That's
killed me.
That's nothing to do with you. It's the pikuach nefesh.
Yes.
The Torah says the v'chai b'chem. That's a separate thing.
Yeah.
That's a separate thing. Even a person, even if it was Yom Kippur, which the Torah says not the Shabbat, which is the Rabbanon. Kol shkein, if it's a neder, a person says a neder he's not going to eat, but now sakona, for sure he has to eat. Here we're talking about it's not a sakona, but it's not now convenient for the person. So convenience is not an excuse. But a person can make hatoras nidorim, and that works.
How many times you can do hatoras nidorim?
A million times, 100 times.
Do it every day.
Okay, so summarize. There is a union of hatoras and nidorim erev Rosh Hashanah, and a person who does a hoget toiva, and he did it 3 times, and he didn't make it tonight. There should be beli neder, and he should have he should take 3 people and say, look, I have chadrota because I took upon myself this thing, and I didn't say beli neder. And for extra protection, if 1 of the 3 people could ask, had you known that later you're going to have a problem and it's going to be a challenge, that person is going to say, no, if I had known that this is called a Pesach, we do Charot and a Pesach together, and then the 3 people will say, Mochalach, 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 Mutalach, 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 and then you're good to go. 3rd question. Are you allowed to fast?
You said mutalach or mutarim?
Mutalach. If it's one person, you say Mutalach. Single.
Oh, when they do it in shul, they do it.
Yeah, there's a different. Right. Depends exactly. Someone asked me, Shaila, just walked out of the room. The Bala Shaila himself. Usually, I don't think the Bala Shaila cares to be anonymous. He asked if he could smoke on Tisha B'Av. So could you smoke in general? I think we'll wait for another time because it's down for 15 minutes.
You guys scream your head off.
But if a person is already smoking, and there's interesting shaylos that do with smoking. In the early days of smoking, the person called it shtiyas tabak, and just the way they call it shtiyas tabak, you start understanding why they have interesting shaylos. Like they looked at it like a form of drinking. It's a funny thing. But be it as may, there's the Shulchan Aruch talks about, it's a Mishnah Mefureshes really, about mugmar, which is those days they had coals and they put on the spices and then it would go up, smoke would go up, and incense, and make a good smell in the house. It wouldn't ruin your lungs because it wasn't going directly in your lungs. And then they invented a cigarette. Okay, but the shaila was, once they invented the cigarette, is it mutter or asr? Because the Mishnah says, if you're allowed to do mugmar, the Chum said it's also. They said the pasuk says that Asher in Parshas, boy, Asher also lechol nefesh. There has to be a malacha that's lechol nefesh. It's shava lechol nefesh. Everyone likes to eat. The Torah says you're allowed to you use fire in order to cook. If it's good, to have fresher food. But food is davar shava lechol nefesh. Everyone likes to eat. Things that are not l'tzorah, but things that has to be shava l'chol nefesh, not something that the Besser mentioned Mufunokim. Rashi says a few Mufunokim they like in their house that they put like coals and they put the average Joe doesn't do that, so that wasn't what it has to be. Davar shava l'chol nefesh. Therefore, the din is Shulchan Aruch in Oir Chaim Hilchos Yom Tov Kuf Yud Aleph, like the Mishnah says. And it's also to take coals, put it on the table, and put on it the incense. Right away, all the places can talk about how about Bisman Hazeh. We have cigarettes. Is cigarettes Dava Shava, not a Dava Shava? Is it all kinds of shaylos? Are you allowed to smoke on Yom Tov or not allowed to smoke on Yom Tov? So look at the 3rd shayla. And it's so funny that I'm trying to have it connected to everything in the Parsha. So this was a hard one to find the pasuk for this, but then I laughed when I found the pasuk. It says Lo Yoiva Hashem Sloich Lo Ki Oz Yeh Hashem.
Which otherwise means
There will be smoke. The Eibishter will Oshem. That the Eibishter will get angry when a person. Rashi says a person gets angry, so like smoke comes out of his nose because it's like he gets hot and it's like comes out of his nostrils. And that's when he's really angry, maybe. Yeah, seriously. The pictures that Kali was. But the Ausha comes out of the nose. So, Klapi Maila, Hebrew Torah, Klosh B'nei that the Eibush will get angry and will come smoke. He'll come smoking out of his nose. So, we have a shayla about smoking. Are you allowed to smoke on Tisha B'Av? Are you allowed to smoke on Yom Tov? Are you allowed to, the kids, every Yom Tov and every fast, are you allowed to smoke?
It's a pleasure. Shabbat, Shana b'Shabbat Ta'anut.
So for these people, it's a big pleasure. Okay, so let's look. Before we start, from Lubavitch's, tell you straight away. Look at the Tshuva, Shulchan Aruch, Chaim Zimtzov Kuf Yud Aleph Sigdala. Look at the Sefer Menogim. a letter from the Rebbe, Friedrich Rebbe, that the Rebbe published actually in the back of all the Tehillims. Eilu shehem ashnim bereish Hashanah nimnoim mizeh. Even those that smoke shouldn't smoke on Rosh Hashanah. V'roy hadavar asher b'nei Torah yizaru b'zeh v'yashpiu gam al makireim. The b'nei Torah should not smoke, and v'mashpiu and all the other people not to smoke on Rosh Hashanah. Why dafka Rosh Hashanah? So give me a few minutes. First, let's do the halacha, and then we'll get back to Minik Chabad. Why not to smoke dafka on Rosh Hashanah?
Maybe because of that they would start smoking it all.
Start the year off right.
Start the year off right.
Start off the year.
I like that shot.
It's good.
It's a good shot. But the people that need to hear the shot are not here now.
They're all smoking.
No one out for a cigarette. So look here. I'll tell you when anything that I have on my computer on text, I'd like to cut and paste them. You can make the text very clear. But there's most of the things are not like Shas, not the Shulchan Aruch. There's certain Shas and Shuvas, but like the Shulchan Aruch, they don't have it on text, so I have to cut and paste. That's why you see the original letters. It's not so clear, but that's the best we can do. Mugmar. So this is Shari, that's Simon, Tovkuf Yudalov, this is in the Shari Tshuva, the bottom of the page. Mugmar, Ayin Liel Simon, Reish Yudalov, Cham Kasafta, Bin Yishtias, Tutten Beyontif, drinking cigarettes in Yontif. That's why, as I said, it's funny, they thought this smoking is like drinking. The Korban Asanu, anyways, the Beitza, Konsomaser. The Korban Asanu, which is a commentary, very much of a voice, and a commentary on the Rosh. Daf Chom Beis, Mesechet Beitza says it's also to smoke in Yom Tov. Chol Kal, Shuvas Dark Nidorim, Vehar, I'm not sure what that says, Chol Kal. That there are poskim that are choyluk, and daite lahat, they say it's mutter, they allowed to smoke in Yom Tov. Okay. So then this
But
goes
they're
in.
all assuming it's mutter b'chlal.
Yeah, they're all assuming it's mutter b'chal. As I said, if it's mutter also to smoke, we'll bli neder, right after the Yom Tovim, we'll talk about smoking b'chal. But they assume that it's mutter to smoke.
And we're talking about the same mitzias that we can all say in this room that cigarettes cause cancer. Are we talking
They didn't
about
know
the
that. They thought you'll see soon.
But are we talking? It's the same raw material. It's not.
Basically the
No,
same.
but
The difference
what
is
you're saying is
they did it without a filter. They rolled it up
They did it in
themselves.
those days?
Yeah.
The days of the Shulchan Aruch?
No, it's after Shulchan. Shari Tshuva is
They actually
a
smoked
collection
them?
of Tshuvas that was published. This is added to Shulchan Aruch maybe 100 years ago.
Oh, it's
A little more,
recent,
maybe.
recent.
Yeah.
Rabbi Obadiah said, they told him the yeshiva was smoking tobacco. So he said, I want you to make a bracha without Shem Malchut, without Shem Hashem. Baruch Soref Mamono Beyado. That's mean, you know what that's mean?
Yes, yeah.
And a lot of yeshiva boys start smoking.
He's even in bracha.
He gave them
That would start.
Yeah, I remember I was a kid.
Okay. So again, so the shaila is if you're allowed to smoke on Yom Tov or not. So machloikis. Some say it's like mugmur, it's also to smoke on Yom Tov. Some say it's mutter to smoke on Yom Tov. Okay. Now
Can you repeat about Rosh Hashanah?
we'll talk about it. We'll summarize soon.
I hear mutar.
We'll get there in a second. The ein ligzer b'shum ama oritz. The basic of the shaila is it's similar. Some say it's similar to mugmar, just like it. Mugmar is just funakim. It's not shava chol nefesh. Others say no, it's shava chol nefesh. Everyone likes to smoke. So it's I wonder if today that people are now concerned with health, it again turns a davash ein shava chol nefesh. Anyway. We're not changing things now. The kids, there's some that say it's mutter, and they and then he says, "Oh, you're going to tell me that the people usually smoke and then they throw the cigarette and they step on it." So we can't make our own zaydas because I'll never make such a zayda, so we're not going to make such a zayda. But you have to make announcements that people should remember Yom Tov that they shouldn't step on the cigarette. Over Sefer and Moiruk Tzir Kotzum Shem Ava V'Chacham Tzvi Shoya Shoysa B'Yom Tov He used to smoke on Yom Tov, Chacham Tzvi. Chacham Tzvi is considered very, very, very important Boisik, lived 250 years ago. He lived in Amsterdam. Why come he called himself Chacham Tzvi? Because he was enamored by he went to learn by certain Sephardi Gedolim, and when he came back to Amsterdam, he called himself Chacham Tzvi. He's the father of Rabbi Yaakov Emden, the famous Rabbi Yaakov Emden.
He's Ashkenaz.
He was Ashkenaz, 100%.
Father of Rabbi
He called
Yaakov
himself
Emden.
the father of Rabbi Yaakov Emden. His Sheilos and truths are quoted all the time. He was considered one of the very, very big poskim. So he used to smoke. So the Rabbi Yaakov Emden says, my father Chacham Tzvi used to smoke in Yom Tov. Av shebimechor from one of his, even though when he was young he used to not smoke in Yom Tov. It's not good to not smoke on Yom Tov. It's a tsar, it's a lack of Simchas Yom Tov. So Chacham Tzvi started to smoke on Yom Tov. Because he started to do hete. Ashgacha, אתה נכנס, הסברתי כל האיסור, לא יתבוא.
הגעתי לקטע המעניין.
והאייד בבעדור הבאסה שכוסו בשם חוכם וחוסד ליבה שכוסו שהוא נויג hete ביום טוב. שני זה להדליק מן הנר הדולק, but he was very careful to use it from a candle. לא על ידי גחלס. If you use a gechelus, anyway, today who has a gechelus? Shabbos they kibu, because you could end up because you're applying a little bit of wind. So just use a candle. Kachirosh of Rabbi, chutz miyom tev sherosh Hashanah. He said, Chacham Tzvi said that his Rebbe on Rosh Hashanah had a special thing, Shemachmer, began b'Tisha B'Av. And these two times, Rosh Hashanah and Tisha B'Av, he didn't smoke. Abu B'Shor Tanias
You mean whoever smoking has to be machmer?
on Rosh Hashanah and
Okay,
Tisha B'Av.
everybody listening?
But all the other Tainas Tzivah, Kolchkin Tainas Yochanan hete. Now, to the end, I'm not going to read till the end. They're talking at the end, those that don't smoke, are you allowed to carry cigarettes, or other people do smoke, so if it's not smoke, so this brings us to the Friedrich Rebbe, for some reason, was makabel this chumrah, that not to smoke on Rosh Hashanah. And the Rebbe quotes it. So the Sheilos is, what's so unique about Rosh Hashanah, Monavshach, all the Yom Tovim are the same thing. When you talk about a fast, I understand why Tisha B'Av would be different than all the other Taniyas. Tisha B'Av is more chumrah. It's a more chumrah fast. So we want to. It is a pleasure to smoke, so even though it's not it's not a chila b'shtiyah. Before it's a pleasure. So
They consider it like
smoke.
shtia.
Huh?
They considered it like
Before,
shtia.
right. But even the poskim that said it's mutter to smoke on some gedalia said you should be machmer. Okay, but why? I understand why you should be machmer on Tisha B'Av and not smoke. But why be machmer on Rosh Hashanah? Well, what's to do with Rosh Hashanah? So someone said a nice pshat, but I think the pshat is maybe like this. And if you look in the letter of the Friedrich Rebbe, he talks about the Inyan of Rosh Hashanah. He says in the Rosh Hashanah, I ask all my students that they should take it to heart, and to all 48 hours a person should try to talk as little as possible and to be marbet to say Tehillim. He says an interesting thing. If you see a slave, he's working in the field, you can't start talking to him. He's scared. His master, there's 50 men chained and there's a guy on the horse with a whip, right? In the plantation. Now you're going to walk over to the guy and say, "Hey, you want a cigarette? You want to talk about a little bit of politics?" The guy's going to keep working and say, "Get out of here." Right? He's busy. If there's 50 men chained and there's one man on a horse, this guy doesn't. Or fakir. If a person didn't see his father for a long time, he come to the airport and his father and mother waiting, and he come to Eretz Yisrael and he finally meets his mother and he runs out and he's running from here to there because his mother's standing. Someone walk over and says, Shloimi, Shalom Aleichem. What are you going to say?
Leave me alone, my mother is here.
Exactly. Rosh Hashanah, the Friedrich Rebbe says, Im Kabonim, Im Kabonim. Either
Based on that Yom Kippur, it should certainly be.
it's also we're talking Shabbos, and Shabbos Shabbos. The Friedrich Rebbe says in the 48 hours of Rosh Hashanah, a person should visualize. Either he's like a servant to the king, or if you want, visualize a child who's running to come to the parents. These 48 hours, and not to make any hefsek, to try to say Tehillim as much as possible. There's a person that davens here at Rosh Hashanah, stands next to me. He probably asked him. He says 4 or 5 times Tehillim in the Rosh Hashanah, easy. He can say
The whole
something.
Tehillim?
The whole Tehillim, and 4 or 5 times, easy. Okay. Now his tongue goes like this. They're like 90 miles per hour, so I'm not sure everyone could do that. But I'm just saying the old Chabad thing, even the Sudas, to make it a little quicker, and to say Tehillim the whole time. In Kavonim, in Kavonim.
I took upon myself when I go to Israel, to the Kotel, I go inside there, I sit down in the corner, take a book of Tehillim and finish the whole Tehillim. And every minute, somebody comes for tzedakah. I have to stop. I said, forget about it. So I prepare myself like 100 shkalim, I don't know how much, and I put it like this, take whatever, I don't want to stop. And I said the whole Tehillim, every day.
Who finishes first, the Tehillim or the cup and the coins?
So that's what I forget. No, but this is it's good minhag. So I want to sit by, be in Hashem 2 hours, 2.5 hours for everything. And I don't say, every word, I understand what I'm saying. But people bothering me, so the beginning was bothering me. You have to stop and take a shake and take a dollar. But that's it. So I make a cup. Somebody comes, I don't take 5.
Does somebody put me in your cup?
Never.
Somebody
Rabbi, Sammy should be putter from giving tzedakah plus proof to the Rabbi. Right?
It was never been.
But if someone is learning, right, then what's
Oh, it's Isaac.
Isaac, but
Yeah.
Okay, the next
So-
time you come.
So it comes the Rosh Hashanah, the Friedrich Rebbe. I think the reason is Poshet because the Chashivas of Rosh Hashanah, that is like these 2 things. That there's an Eved who's working in front of the Melech, or a child who's running to greet the parent. You throw out the cigarette right down. These 48 hours, we're standing the Eved in front of the Melech or the Ben in front of the parent. So I think that's the reason. Because Rosh Hashanah is a special chashivas. It's like the Inyan of Rosh Hashanah, the spiritual Inyan of Rosh Hashanah. And that's why. But it's interesting that you see that there's some poskim, even the Chacham Tzvi, who said that his Rabbi told him that he should smoke on Yom Tov because of this pleasure of Simchas Yom Tov. That also said that he was noyeg not to smoke on Tisha B'Av and not to smoke on Rosh Hashanah. This taka, this in Rosh Hashanah, the Friedrich Rebbe asked that all Bnei Torah should be nizer and to be mashpia and other yidden not to smoke on Rosh Hashanah. Okay, the Rebbe shall help when it comes to Rosh Hashanah. Not only that we shouldn't smoke, but the taka we should say Tehillim with like a shmak, and the Rebbe should be mekabel at tefillas, and the Rebbe should not only be mekabel at tefillas for Shana Tov and Sukkah and Tov and Nidarim and Nigla, but Pashat the best year for Klal Yisrael, Bebias Mashiach Tzidkenu.
How many bread?
What about the time?
3, 4?
Yeah, but how much?
Bread,
To overdo it.
No.
What, so what's-
Somebody,
Yeah.
I mean,
Then
but you need
it
seeds,
like a little shorter.
Ed,
oh,
Time spent to say Tehillim.
Your daughter went back home?
okay, yeah.
You go on first.
I don't think in the letter it doesn't write.